Hey, welcome to Taking It Down. We're going to get started soon. This is the most controversial podcast you'll hear today. Here it goes. This is Taking It Down, the streaming and TV podcast produced by the Alabama website and podcast network, the Alabama Take. Each Tuesday, we tell you the worth of a show in the non-spoiler section, which begins each episode. And then we break down some of the series in the spoiler section after the break. This week, 3 shows, though not all make it to spoiler section. We've got the new show on Apple TV Plus. I think it's just Apple TV now.
Oh, did they drop the plus? They really should have. It doesn't make any sense.
Apple TV's new Vince Gilligan series Pluribus, the continuing horror fare on HBO, Welcome to Derry, and finally we'll put a cap on our analysis for the Lowdown, starring Ethan Hawke on FX and Hulu. And thank goodness I'm not alone, because this guy has ideas beyond my imagination. So let's welcome in co-host Donovan Ronwald.
Alabama Take projection.
There he is.
Great to be here, Blaine.
Once again, we got a plethora of TV, but we've only selected 3 to discuss this week. Though with the Lowdown ending, we got room next week.
I only got so much time in my life. And there's a Lowdown shaped hole in my heart right now.
There you go.
I think Pluribus is going to fit in there pretty nicely.
A show that piqued my interest over on Netflix entitled Death by Lightning, based on have you heard of this?
Is this the James Garfield one?
Yeah, it's based on the assassination of James Garfield.
I actually read, it's 4 episodes, and a review I read is like, oh, this is actually pretty good. So I'm kind of intrigued.
Garfield oft overlooked assassination because of Lincoln's 20 years earlier.
All I really know about James Garfield, the president, is loved lasagna, hated Mondays.
No, that's Garfield the cat.
Isn't James Garfield's first name?
Mm-mm. Several reasons this one could work. It looks good. I've seen the trailer. Michael Shannon's a great actor.
I love Michael Shannon. Did you ever see him in the Little Drummer Girl, the limited series based on the John le Carré novel?
No.
Very good. I'd suggest it if you like Michael Shannon.
I do.
It was a couple years old, probably 6 or 7 years ago now, but very, very good.
A very distinct actor, too. It's made by the creators of Game of Thrones, I think.
Is it? Is it?
They have a hand in it.
Sorry, I gotta Google this.
I think they have a hand on it. That could bode well. I like a period piece that paints a picture of history. And lastly, it's 4 episodes long, like you mentioned, so it feels about right for a historical drama.
I have become increasingly fond of things that know their length.
Me too.
That don't overstay their welcome. Adolescence from earlier this year being a notable example this year.
Yeah.
I don't see anything about these Game of Thrones folks, but they get around.
Maybe not then.
I'm very curious about this because it's been getting pretty good reviews.
Yeah, yes.
And on top of that, isn't it about James Garfield got his time in the sun?
I mean, you know everything about the others.
I can only think, yeah. Well, let's see. Lincoln, of course. Garfield, can't remember. Was Garfield the anarchist? He was killed by the anarchist. McKinley was killed, and then Teddy Roosevelt became president, and then obviously JFK.
Huh.
Those are all the ones. Right? Man, we got a lot of presidents get assassinated.
Trump was shot on the campaign trail.
Someone shot Ronald Reagan.
But Trump was shot on the campaign trail.
If I remember about Garfield, though, I think he got shot and he lingered.
Oh,
like he didn't die for like a month or something like that. Maybe I'm mixing that up, but I think that was him. So we'll see. We'll see. It's got a good cast.
Also airing this week on Peacock is All Her Fault, which sounded like it had potential. It has Sarah Snook as a mom who goes to pick up her child from a play date, but the mom isn't the mother she left her son with, and she hasn't heard of her son. It's a mystery thriller.
Yeah, I've read short stories by Philip K. Dick.
No, this one's getting high marks. Could be worth a watch.
Is it? Okay. Could be.
And this is all not to say that Frankenstein is streaming now on Netflix after being in the theater.
Very excited for this. Would rather have seen it. These limited Netflix theatrical releases. I'm technically within driving distance because I could have gone to New York or Boston, but it's too much. But I mean, I love. Who doesn't love Oscar Isaac, right? Like we've they're going with the full gothic ruin of the monster, the creature. The sets are most, he Guillermo del Toro somehow like makes these fantastic looking movies for like pennies. Like the sets look fantastic. I'm pumped. I think if you are the kind of person who is going to like this, you already know who you are. Yeah, I don't think this is going to change anyone's mind. That's just a thought. Go watch Pan's Labyrinth instead.
As for things we have seen, the much ballyhooed Pluribus debuted over the weekend. That's Vince Gilligan and Company's first venture back to TV since Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul. And it stars Ray Seahorn, and she's from Better Call Saul. She's a disgruntled, speculative, romantic fantasy fiction author who finds that some weirdness is spreading the evening she and her best friend and manager are taking a break from her book tour. It's a show that's really heavy on premise. And Breaking Bad and Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul diehards likely want to remember that Vince Gilligan got his start, rightly so, on the X-Files.
Yeah.
And that's what this feels like a lot. I've watched both of the debut episodes, which Apple TV put out this weekend, and they'll now go weekly. But the first one is titled We Is Us. Man, it was engrossing from start to finish. I couldn't put it down. I'm so glad that I didn't wait to watch it.
Yeah.
I watched it Friday night. I'm intrigued and invested. It has a lot of momentum, especially after the first episode. It was very suspenseful. And I'm a sucker for post-apocalyptic story, usually, if they're well done. And Ray Seahorn deserves a starring role after the masterclass she puts on after Better Call Saul. And I'll boldly add here that Better Call Saul was the better of the two.
Not an uncontroversial opinion.
No, really.
Here's my opinion. Sorry, not a completely controversial opinion was what I meant to say, because I think people agree with you. Now, I will say, I think better. This is just one man's opinion. I think you're probably right, Blaine, but I think that Better Call Saul had to build on Breaking Bad. Like, if Breaking Bad hadn't happened, it probably still would have been a really good show. But we had the whole. I think they both work really well together.
Yeah.
But I'll agree with you. Better Call Saul is, in some ways, more of a tragedy than Breaking Bad is.
Yeah, it is. I went into Pluribus blind. It's the best way to encounter it, I think. I knew nothing about it other than it starred Ray Seahorn and was made by Vince Gilligan. That was it. It's tense. You really don't know what's going to happen next. There are so many underlying themes here that the first episode, it doesn't play too much with those. It just thrusts you into the world. And I was here for it. But now the second episode becomes a play off of a few characters. And it feels a little bit more Hitchcockian, Invasion of the Body Snatchers. Something that may make more sense to Vince Gilligan himself is that it really plays out like a great episode of one of those first 3 seasons of the Twilight Zone.
Mm-hmm.
And what most will find is that this is a TV show about anything. It's not because it's a TV show about nothing.
Do you mean that in the sense that, like, it is very easy to map? I think shows that do this are often brilliant, but like it's really easy to kind of map various things on there, and you can kind of interpret it and take it different.
Right.
I think that's hard to do very well, but when it's done very well, it's great.
Yeah, that's what it's doing. And you can map on dozens of things here and not be wrong.
I had been looking at some reviews, and I might be confused at this, but my understanding is that reviewers initially were asked not to say anything about the premise. And then I think I looked at the Guardian's review, and it had the premise. And I kind of wish I hadn't read the premise.
Don't look at the premise.
But I'm intrigued. Obviously, 2 of the best shows of the past century, 25 years, you know. the new century and already under old Vince's belt.
We will bring it up more next week. So that's we won't talk about it in spoilers at all. So everybody get caught up. You'll have 3 by then. It's going weekly, Friday night. On the spoiler side of things soon, we'll continue our talk on the prequel of the recent 2 Stephen King films, It. And the prequel is Welcome to Derry. Here's my non-spoiler thought on this one, and it helped me parse through this.
Okay.
I'm so intrigued by this show. I loved watching it. I wanted another one as soon as I finished episode 2.
Yeah, I wanted to see some more too.
But I can't tell you if it's worth a shit.
I actually also kind of feel that way, where it's like the first 2 ones even if it's like not quote unquote like good in the sense that it's not elevated or doesn't transcend its premise, it is like well-made TV in the sense that like it is capably made. The actors are good. The actors they got to be the kids, I actually think are good. Those kids can usually be really annoying. It can like the tone can swing a little bit. The gross out scenes I think are really gruesome. Mm-hmm. But I get the feeling that in like 3 episodes I could be like, and all of the underlying issues that would rear their ugly head were already there, and the whole thing fell apart. So far on 2 episodes, I'm like, I'm willing to give it a chance. But I don't like, is it good? Like I guess the real question is like, is it good beyond the just like, I want to be entertained for 45 minutes?
To me, it's great in the way a Texas Hold'em game is great. Like, what card's coming next?
Yeah.
And I don't know yet.
Obviously, one of the underlying ideas is fear, right? Mm-hmm. And I think that's really rich. And I think there are a lot of places, especially but I think there's something rich for the fear that we have as children of different things, because being a child is terrifying, and then your imagination adds to it enough.
Yeah.
And these are older children, right? They're by and large, young high schoolers. But I think that is a scary time. So I think there's something there.
It is a scary time, and I think that they're using that time frame intelligently of adolescence. And I think if they continue to do that, it will be great. You know, I'd kind of forgotten that the It universe kind of was about fear.
Yeah.
You know, I'd only watched the Tim Curry version in the 90s with ABC, and I didn't recall that fear being that big. I thought it was just a monster show. But
gotcha. No, he appears to you as some, you know, and obviously people hate, right? Like people hate clowns, right? Yeah. So this is from me not having read the novel, but right, but it is sort of almost like almost Lovecraftian in the sense that it's like, you know, where it's like it's like an alien entity, whether it's from another planet or I think there's a hint that maybe it's from like another dimension or whatever. Mm-hmm. But yeah, but it needs to feed on fear, and of course children are very rich for fear, right? So sometimes it'll appear. That's why it's appearing as different things that are scary, especially.
And usually you get small kids in it because, you know, they scare easy. You can jump scare them easily. But here it might mine the depths of that adolescence fear you have of, oh my God, Susie doesn't like me.
Yes. Yeah.
And I like that.
I like that too. But I think that it is falling more on like the dread side of fear than the shock side of fear. And I think that dread for me is more effective.
It's
always has
both
been.
Of those well, and maybe that's why I like it.
I think it, and you know, it's fun to see. Honestly, part of what I'm liking is it's fun to see old friends. Like we got Chris Chalk back. You know, the creature feature elements are good enough for me. There's something truly disgusting. I think it's truly disgusting in the second episode that revolts me a little bit, even as I think about it. And I liked the kind of bait and switch that it played with me, where it kind of set up in the first episode one gang of characters, only to maybe that's not who you were going to follow through the whole series. We don't really know yet.
Yeah, that was sort of real fans would have gotten that bait and switch, and even I got it. But
not this guy. It worked for me.
To switch gears a little, we're also talking about the Sterling Harjo created, I suppose, somewhat detective series in its own quirky way. It's an investigative series in the sense that the detective is. He's a bad reporter. He's a bad dad. He's lived in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and he looks like Ethan Hawke. I had nothing but enjoyment for this series. I thought it had a great sense of place and funny, if not fascinating characters, but I just didn't think they showed them enough.
Yeah, I think based on what we've discussed earlier, I had the feeling that I would come up feeling a little higher on this show.
Yeah.
Than maybe you did.
Through its run, I couldn't ever see if it wanted to be more than a whodunit. In its the penultimate episode where the show put on a pair of glasses to let you see everything a lot more clearly, I saw, I think, what it was doing, which I'll get into spoilers.
And I'll say, almost the flip side of that from you, Blaine, is that I felt like what it was doing was subtle enough that when we got into the penultimate episode and some of the themes have risen to the surface, it's like, oh yeah, okay, like that was there the whole time. Like if you go and think about it. So I thought almost like the same, almost the same, the seeing the same thing you did, but maybe interpreting it in a slightly different fashion.
Yeah, exactly. Do you think it should have done more earlier, investigated earlier on how natives of Oklahoma were stripped of their land? Not to mention black people of Tulsa being bombed by their government, or would that have been? But that would have been giving the medicine without the sugar.
I think that would have been showing its hand too much. Honestly, Americans, I think we should know that without having to be told by a TV show. Although I'm not sure if this is what is common knowledge anymore. Mm-hmm. And I think that by centering the characters and the communities that were affected by those things as integral aspects of the show, and then of course having actual neo-Nazis as your villains, you kind of tip your hand a little there, right?
So the show never overdid it with the strings of its plot for you.
No, I don't think. I mean, I think it was a little. I think by its very nature, the show was a little shaggy, and I was okay with that. I think some people perhaps would have wanted something a little leaner and meaner. I enjoyed it. I thought of it as, it's kind of a ride. Like the destination, yes, is important, but the amusement is often in how you get there.
Was that a ride in a white van?
That van should have exploded by the end of of this series.
Let's take a break. On the you'll hear a bit of news from the Alabama Take, and on the other side, we'll talk spoilers only on Welcome to Derry and the Lowdown's finale. If you enjoy our podcast and our other podcasts under the Alabama Take umbrella, and we hope you do, maybe you'll be inclined to make a small donation. If you wish, go to thealabamatake.com, click on donate, and click on buy me a coffee to make a small donation to our website. It helps with hosting, podcast hosting, website hosting. It keeps the good things coming. Or if you'd like, click on the show notes, find the donation link there, and make a donation as big or as small as you wish. Thanks so much, and thanks for listening. Let us know how you listen. Let us know what we should talk about next. It's good to know who you are. See you soon. Okay, we'll kick off spoiler section. Back with the HBO horror drama Welcome to Derry, where it's tough to be a kid.
It's tough to be a kid. It's tough to be a minority. It's tough to be alive during the Cold War.
This in the previous episode reminded me a lot of A Nightmare on Elm Street in its early run when it was more than camp.
Yeah, like the original.
Yeah,
like the original Nightmare on Elm Street.
The first 1 and 2.
Yeah. That's a good. That's actually good, Blaine. I didn't think of that.
It did.
I see it. I see it though. I see it.
We're in spoilers. Ronnie, our black girl who works at the theater, she only has the one parent left, and they're trying to pin her dad on the murders that happened in the theater in the episode 1 where we thought that would be the gang of kids that would be haunted by Pennywise, but instead,
Yes.
most of them are killed,
Or at least elsewhere.
Well, yeah. You mentioned that last week. I still don't know.
I don't know either, because the one kid was trapped in a film reel, sort of.
That's right. Yeah, he
So-
was holding a baby. Mm-hmm.
But I don't. The other ones might very well may be dead. They're certainly presumed dead, and there was a lot of blood and some severed limbs.
So Ronnie played the film for them, and then Lily is the survivor of the ones who were sitting amongst the theater seats.
Yes, she's the only one to make it out.
Yeah. And Lily has this friend, Marge, who wears glasses, and, she wants to kind of be concerned, but as most teenagers do, she's way more interested in trying to fit in with the other 3 girls and play patty cake.
Marge does kind of suck, right?
She
sucks. There is I think there is at least we'll see what this character goes, because right now she is just sort of a shallow teen. Mm-hmm. Maybe we're supposed to be like there is enough that she wants to bring Marge with her into the patty cakes, into the popular girls.
I don't know. It looked so awkward that I just thought, and awkward in a 50s way, not awkward in the way that the show was presenting it. It was just awkward things 50s and 60s teens did at high school, I guess.
It felt like a little bit of, I think there is a little bit of, perhaps I am wrong about this, but there is a little bit of like, we're juicing up like your idea of the 50s, or the 60s. It's the early 60s. You got like the delinquent kids in high school, and you got it's a little surreal. It's a little hyper emotional, which I'm okay with.
In a David Lynch kind of fashion.
In a David Lynch kind of way. Yeah, exactly.
Like, I would not have been surprised to see a guy in a black leather jacket with the sleeves rolled up.
Absolutely.
And one foot on the locker and his back against the locker smoking a cigarette, and a teacher walking by telling him to put it out. And you put it out.
Not obviously not as good, especially in that first episode of Twin Peaks. But yeah, I think it's coming like from that same well of like iconography, this kind, that we kind of all have as a collective.
Yeah, this is trying to be a little bit more grounded in reality. I'll say I love Will's character. This is Leroy's son. He's the Air Force pilot's son, he's just arrived in Derry, and he's just thrust into it. I can't imagine being a new kid thrust into a new school. That never happened to me, luckily. When it did happen to me, I was going to colleges, and I hated it then, and I felt so paranoid that I shit myself every time. You did new schools often, didn't you?
I did move. My dad was in the military. So, new schools, new friends. When you're in the military and your friends are all in the military, or sorry, they weren't in the military, but my friends growing up a lot until I was about 10 or 11, their dads or moms were all in the military. So you just kind of knew in the back of your head that this friendship has about a 2-year expiration date on it because someone's going to move.
That.
Yeah, you kind of knew.
Did it say?
Everyone knew you were going to move. Sometimes I would, if I had like a particularly good friend, I'd be like, well, I'm sad to leave them behind or whatever. But when you're a kid, it just seems natural, right?
Did you ever get to the age where you had a crush and you had to leave her?
Probably a little young for that.
Okay.
But I had friends that I was like I considered to be as like an 8 or 9-year-old would, but we're good friends for that 8 or 9-year-old.
This is way off tangent. I had crushes really young.
I think a lot of people do.
Well, I might be speaking to the majority of Americans when I say, second grade Blaine had crushes, like big ones, like heartbreaking ones. I would go home and cry.
That is heartbreaking. You're 7. What are you going to do?
Well, I still go home and cry.
Right. So not much has changed.
Nothing's changed. Don't worry about me. I've made it this far. This is Will Hanlon. He is the Air Force pilot's son. Now, the interesting thing about Leroy, who is the Air Force pilot, help me out, Donovan. I hope I got this straight. He can't feel fear.
He cannot. That's
strange.
He has very specific brain damage to his amygdala.
What'd you call it?
It's the amygdala.
It wasn't his frontal cortex, was it?
No, it's part of the brain.
I thought the frontal cortex is where you held your aggressive, not aggression, but your risk taking.
According to Merriam-Webster, or hey, even better, Wikipedia, this is inside. It's inside your brain, and this is the part that is responsible for emotional processing, such as
nice move by
fear
the
and anxiety.
writers.
Yeah,
we didn't have this in previous iterations of it, have we?
I don't think so. I mean, I'm not an expert, and
Can I tell you something? I grew up with a guy who couldn't smell.
Really?
Yeah, he would walk up to you, a day or two after he hasn't showered, and he'd say, "Can I stink?" And we would say, "Yeah, go shower."
Just shower every day to be certain.
Well, he was lazy too, so.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah, he couldn't smell. Legit thing.
So he's obviously the major. I think he's a major. The major is uniquely suited for a task involving something that makes you so afraid you die, because he can't be afraid.
And that brings in the Chris Chalk character, who has a form of psychic ability.
He's got The Shining.
That's what they call it in the Stephen King universe. And what is that exactly?
Just paranormal sensitivity. I don't know. It seemed like extrasensory perception in the Shining.
So they're digging in this trench there in Derry, or outside of Derry, and they need the guy without fear. That's Leroy. They need Chris Chalk's character, I forget his name, to sense where these places are.
Seems like it.
And something about those things can win the Cold War for them.
Well, we don't. It seems. Yes, that this is a classic, and we've gotten this in other Stephen King stuff, even but it is kind of a classic one, right? Like the horrible, paranormal, extraterrestrial, extra-dimensional evil is going to get weaponized by the, and this is obviously in the context of pretty explicitly brought up, right? The Cuban Missile Crisis is going to happen in a year and a half? I mean, or half a year. So we have some
JFK assassination.
Well, it is a Stephen King adaptation. They might.
Will they fast forward to Dylan writing and penning a song, Murder Most Foul?
I think that is going to be in the DVD special features.
Oh, okay. I was just checking. No, I mean, we're totally kidding. I totally left Will behind. He's thrust into the school and just snapped. The teacher snaps on his ass. I'm like, he just walked in. Give the kid a break.
Yeah, he's having a tough time. And, of course, as kids can smell it, right? He's a nerd. We have to say it. I'm sorry. He's black in the early 60s. In a majority white.
In a majority white school.
Town.
The busing, thing is happening. And the kid behind him kicks his chair out from under him. That embarrasses him. He falls. I really like this Will Hanlon character. They set him up nicely to be liked.
Yes, they do.
And I'll say this, though. One thing that they didn't do well is they're trying to play off the realism of America of that time, which is great. I want them to. Yet you have the things like Will's mom going to the store and then turning around and looking outside, and kids are brutally beating another kid and no one's stopping them. And she's like, no one's stopping this? I mean, that just felt odd, but it also felt like, I know it's supposed to be a part of the town, but how do you balance the realism of the 60s versus what you want this town to feel like? Mm-hmm. You've got nothing on that.
I know. I'm thinking.
Yeah, she goes out there and busts it up.
Yeah, which I don't know. Perhaps
good for her.
Kind of thing truly does happen. But I think you asked to kind of I have like a not good answer because I don't know how to articulate it well. But I feel like you do if you sacrifice like it's fine that things are somewhat hyper real, but there is a level of like, okay, if you sacrifice some level of realism, some level of like, well, these are human beings living human lives, you lose the horror, right? Because like nobody's scared about like what happens to a cartoon character, right? Like they're in a different universe. You know, nobody's scared about what's going to happen to the Roadrunner. He's going to be fine.
Yeah. Leroy, being the dad, does mention in passing that they left Shreveport because his wife Charlotte was too involved with the civil rights movement down there and getting them in trouble.
Seems like the suggestion.
Yeah, he's
at least.
And that takes us to Ronnie, the other black character. Her dad's being blamed for the murders of the kids, and they just flat out arrest him because they get Lily into the police room and they basically frame the question to where she had no way to answer it other than to say he could have done it, basically.
And she's afraid because she has spent some time in a mental institution that she will be returned if she says what really happens.
Yep.
And
it gives Ronnie the nightmare scene. Is this the scene you want to talk about?
No, that one was gross, but the one with Lily's dad was grosser.
Okay, tell me. So the nightmare scene with with Ronnie, her dad is a single father.
Yes.
That's what I'm trying to say. And she dreams of being
and good
birthed.
and effective, too, I should say.
It's very effective because she dreams of being birthed and having killed her mom in childbirth. And then as she looks within the pregnancy of her mother, she sees Pennywise's eyes.
Yes.
It's good. And I think that's what keeps me sticking around. I think it's really hard to do horror series.
Yes.
Like, you can't scare me with the same thing tonight on the episode that you did last night on the episode.
Or if you do, it ends up being just kind of monster of the week where you're like, oh, all right, well, Scully and, Mulder. Not that I don't like the X-Files. But
yeah, the X-Files did it fairly well.
And they do, but like there are definitely episodes there where you're like, well, we know we're going to see a monster at this point because we have to, because it's the formula.
Especially with Vince Gilligan and Bryan Cranston being in an episode.
Yeah. No, I have nothing but affection for the X-Files, but especially as the run went on.
It made you feel something.
Even
if it wasn't a great episode, it made you feel dread.
Yeah. The best ones, I think.
This show's not doing quite that, but it's scaring you a little and it's grossing you out a little. That takes us to the next big set piece that you wanted to talk about.
Enjoyed it, and I think that first off, worked well enough that I'm never going to go to a grocery store ever again. But I think...
Yeah, set this up a little.
I don't know if I am able to explain this properly, but I liked this because I feel like...
Well, Lily's in a grocery store.
Lily's in a grocery store.
Lily.
She's got a shop, and it's a normal grocery store. She's gotten her...
Looks exactly like a 50s grocery. 50s, 60s,
she's doing
80s.
A little bit of shopping.
Yeah, she's shopping.
And I think what works so well for me. So she's kind of, and she's going through she has pretty normal interactions. And then as she's going through the store looking for the things she needs, the shelves are sort of shifting. Like it's become I guess a maze has a solution. What doesn't have a solution? A labyrinth?
A labyrinth.
Yeah.
But what's important to know is that her father, she's also a single.
She is. Her father has been killed, and she has witnessed some of this in a horrific industrial accident.
That's right, and it's an oddly choiced pickle jar accident.
Yeah,
he was in a pickle jar.
He was pickle canning. Yeah,
pickle canning, and it's so odd. I thought it was kind of.
It was kind of odd.
I thought that was a little kitschy, but it worked for you.
Well, that part is fine. Honestly, I think that's a little kitschy too.
Okay.
But for me, with the piece is I think when you like a grocery store, like an American grocery store that we have all encountered, is already like kind of an unreal place.
It is. There's a certain creepiness to it at late at night.
And it's like the way now Joe Pera talks to you, did the absolute flip of this, and does a great episode about the grocery store. So this is the horror version of that,
which is on HBO Max.
And I mean, I think like when you start to think about like the grocery store, the life that like the grocery store supports, which is most of what we often, we know, like it's like cans from all over the world, and you just walk down and you take things off the shelf. It's meat from God knows, it's this huge. It's like this huge industry, right? Creating food is a huge industry, packaged and processed and made a little bit unreal for you to just take off the shelf. And so that space already being kind of fearsome, I loved that it kind of kicked it up into like, it's creepy.
Yes, you're tapping into something. I worked in a grocery store for 4 or 5 years. Small town, 90s, pre-internet, so you had that vibe. And you're right, it has that we closed at 9, and that 8:45, the 15 minutes was like, if I turn this corner, am I gonna see a broom hanging here and look like a skeleton?
It's such a mundane space that you dropped most of the people who have ever existed in human history into a grocery store, they would be like, what the hell is this? Like, how do you people live?
So this thing got you because Lily's with her buggy, as we call in the South. Mm-hmm. Forgive us, listeners up north.
Her buggy. Her shopping cart.
What do you call it, Donovan?
I call it shopping cart. I've always called it shopping cart.
Oh, to hell with you. It's a goddamn buggy.
Well, my parents are not from the South.
Stop it, Donovan. You're breaking my heart. Seriously, what's it? What do let's say Connecticut folks call it?
Jeez.
Do you know?
Cart? Shopping cart?
A cart.
Yeah,
but there's a certain part of America where it sounds funnier. What is it? Is it over in Michigan? They call it something?
Oh, I can't remember. They call it something.
Isn't there a novel, it started on Reddit, called, it might be Dathan Auerbach's Bad Man?
Okay.
And it's kind of a slow, creepy account of horror account of late night grocery store stuff.
Yeah, I'd buy it. I don't know about that, but that sounds great.
A lot of people criticize it. Of course, it started as a Reddit thread. And
I see.
Gets criticism too.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we have Lily coming through, and then she finally gets trapped and encircled with all the pickle jars where what looks to be a human head, you definitely can't tell it's her dad, it is trapped inside one of the jars.
Now, this is where I think I'm not going to pretend that they're doing anything extremely elevated here. This is just where it switches into the grotesque. But it works for me because, like, the Pennywise thing is like, what's the primal thing that you're afraid of, right? Mm-hmm. For Lily, it's this inciting, obviously losing her father, what she witnessed, the horror of it, and then something that like is going to make you feel like you're going insane. And
Do you think leaving out the head in the jar would have made it more horrifying for you?
No, that worked for me.
Okay, good.
Because it's her, it's so gross. Like the way that the thing kind of rebuilds itself from constituent parts. And then we have one of the, a primal horror too, right? Is like the corrupt parent, right? Like daddy just wants a kiss. I think it's pretty easy to understand, like in real life, where the fear comes from, right? Like your father wants a kiss. That's a normal thing. But then there's like this is the bad version of that. And obviously it's not invoked here, but I think we do have the fear in real life, right? Of like wrong relations. Exactly. Like wrong relations between, and which would be abuse, of course, between parents. And I think that this works very well for me paired with Ronnie's, because it is the bad, like it's the corrupted bad mother that comes back, that wants to bring you back inside her, that she hates you. She blames you for her death. She wants to take you back inside. Like that's foundationally very fearsome.
With Ronnie, she killed her probably in childbirth.
Yeah, that's what I mean. She probably died in childbirth, but like the normal, quote unquote normal folks, like the normal thing is like, I gave you life, right? I'm as happy that I gave you life, that I made you, that you were born. In parentheses, even though I died, maybe, but like this kind of inverts that, right? Whereas it's like, I hate that I gave you life because you killed me. And so the quote unquote normal. Obviously, in real life, there's a zillion different ways to think about this, but the quote unquote normal is kind of tipped upside down here. And then the grotesque certainly doesn't hurt.
Yeah. Okay. The final scene of Welcome to Derry, second episode, which, by the way, it came out early. It came out on Halloween night.
It came out on Halloween.
We could have done this one last week. Sorry, y'all. We didn't know. I honestly didn't know. And it would have been good Halloween watching. The final scene, I think it's the final scene, has Chris Chalk's character, whose name I will learn this week.
It is...
Oh, yeah, Dick Halloran, because he's a recurring character.
He's in The He's in The Shining. Yeah.
There you go, as an old man. Okay, so Dick is in a helicopter with
Major Hanlon and the General Shaw.
He's in the helicopter with General Shaw, and they're going to try to use their skills. The no fear from one of them, and then Dick's ability to sense out. Right there's where you should dig. And we can get closer to our goal of this entity that could help save the day in the Cold War, but yet it's surrounded on all sides by something. We've got to find it. And once we can dig deep enough and find it, we'll win the day. Oh, everything will be great. All right. That's where this one leaves off. I can't wait for episode 3. Like I said at the beginning, I cannot tell if this show is worth a shit. I think it's because I haven't sensed its through line yet.
Yeah, gotcha.
Which it might give me one in the 3rd or 4th episode, and it might solidify, okay, this was good horror and told an interesting story.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
As far, just from the pulp level of like, I want to turn the page and find out what happened. I wanted a little bit more. Things can work on that level. I don't know if this is going to transcend. I suspect it may not. It may be very good. Mm-hmm. I suspect it is not going to be like, well, like, this is good. Like, Stephen King, Kubrick's The Shining, like that transcends, that kind of, but it's unfair to hold everything to that standard.
Well, neither you nor I have seen the 2 It movies that were recent.
I saw like the latter half of the part 1, but like on cable, like it was on cable TV or whatever. I have YouTube
fucked
TV.
It up.
Exactly. So I don't have it seemed good. For what it was,
both got good reviews. One has Bill Hader in it.
Yeah, it's one of the adult kids, right?
Yeah, I do want to watch them. That first one got like really good reviews.
Yeah, I think they were a little weaker for the second one, but
that's okay.
That's fine.
Well, it's got Bill Hader in the second one, so that'll carry it.
I do like Bill Hader.
Speaking of Bill Hader, not really at all. Ethan Hawke, probably doing it much longer than Bill Hader. Let's return to the Lowdown from FX and Hulu, but this time with spoilers, especially the last 2 episodes. I think I want to start with the lead. Lee Rayborn. And that's the Ethan Hawke character. He's the lead. He's the protagonist. Sterling Harjo, the creator and writer, made him the central figure. But I believe that Harjo is messing with us as an audience only slightly here. Nothing outlandish. It's basically that Ray is not a good person. And in a show about a lot of nosy, white, well-meaning people, Ray is just one more nosy, white, well-meaning person, and where he's constantly going where he doesn't belong.
He is a busybody.
A busybody. He calls himself he continually calls himself a truth story, and many of the other characters raise that question. Well, what does that mean? I think Harjo did that on purpose to say, "Look, I'm doing something," and everybody can see right through it.
And so many people from historically marginalized communities tell him, leave it alone. Leave it alone.
Oh, yes. No, this is only in the last episode. You will find him saying these 2 quotes. These are direct quotes, last 2 episodes. I was only trying to help.
Yes.
There's one, and the other one was, I was trying to do something good.
We talked at the very beginning of the series a little bit about Gen X, and I think that the episode with Peter Dinklage in it kind of which we need more Peter Dinklage in many things. But it did kind of crystallize this, and this is very, very kind of nebulous. I don't have a good way for it, but like that, like kind of self-image that you have, like that, like I'm the last guy not to sell out.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. And I like that, and then.
I remember that.
Really I think there's an aspect of that with him where like, he may genuinely be trying to help.
Sure.
But also he's trying to inhabit a character that he created of himself. I mean, like a persona.
Yes.
But we see some cracks in that, especially that one with Peter Dinklage. That was very good.
To personalize that, I felt like I was the last person to buy an iPhone.
Right.
I stood my ground on that. So stupidly. His relationship with his daughter, Frances, may be the best, showing that he's just not a good guy. I mean, he's lovable, he's trying hard, but it's not working out very much.
I wouldn't say that he's necessarily a bad person.
He's not a bad person.
So much as is he maybe a selfish person.
Does that make incredibly selfish.
Yeah.
His daughter Frances, throughout the 7 episodes, I think it's 7 or 8, their relationship borders on negligence. And it's so sad. It's flat out sad. In fact, it would be tearful were it not for some poignant moments sprinkled throughout. The writing where she's presenting her own written word in a bookstore cafe is just so heartbreaking.
No 14-year-old writes that well.
No.
I cry. No, I agree, Blaine. It was very good.
But that was, to hear that from her, it was sad. Luckily, at the end, they kind of come to a common ground that this is how it's going to be.
Ray, jumping ahead, but Ray looks like he may have turned a page, perhaps.
He does, maybe even after hearing that. I am of the theory that Sterling Harjo wanted to start this version of a detective show, but one that's super subverted, where Lee is kind of bad at it. I mean, he's good at some things, but he's getting really bad at the personal thing. And a lot of what he touches turns into shit.
I mean, he's like the bull in the china shop, right?
Yes.
Which
I am too.
Right. And it's like, I think that is good because it makes for compelling TV, and it also surfaces a lot of themes, interesting themes. But yeah, he's a bull. Like there is to bring our discussion of Task last week. We kind of talked about like the good and sometimes, like, you need to like think like there are two goods, but one requires you to think more of others. And I think it's objectively good if like the bad people in this series do not succeed. Like that is an objectively good goal. Like if reparations are made, if the land is given back, but also he doesn't for a second stop to think about what is good for the people affected by all these things. Mm-hmm. He doesn't ever ask their opinion. And many of their opinion is like, just leave it alone.
I have the note. It's almost like Harjo is saying that the white anti-hero, he wants to comment on the white anti-hero. The white anti-hero is actually just a loser. He's not evil. Like the Washburns, definitely not as evil as the White Power Church or even Frank. He's just kind of a meddling little loser. Sometimes he helps, sometimes he hinders.
It does feel like there's something going on there too, with different levels of, like, for lack of a better word, like cluelessness.
Yeah, this dumbfoundedness.
In the sense that, like, when we get to the end of this is skipping ahead a little, folks, but I figure you've all seen it. When we get to the head of the show, it turns out that, like, Donald, one-on-one, is really not that bad of a guy.
I thought Kyle MacLachlan gave the best performance of the final episode.
He's so good.
Because he went from menacing to very down-to-earth and kind of normal guy.
Yeah.
Who's just had this shit thrust upon him.
And not only that, it's again, like hard to predict. Like he's not actually that bad a guy.
Yeah, he might be a little racist, but it's kind of out of dumbness.
I guess what I was going to say was
not out
like
of hatred.
He was intentionally blind to what was going on,
Yeah.
in the same way that I think Lee can be. In the sense that like, hey, I call Betty Jo and tell her where the will is. It ends with a guy getting shot. Like, did you never consider any of Like, there's that sense of like, and I almost wonder if there's like this commentary on like, you do almost like this like white savior figure where it's like you do, maybe this person genuinely does want to help, but when they cast themselves at the center of things and don't consider anything else. And I feel like too, this was something I was kind of thinking about maybe during the last episode. Like it just feels like Lee doesn't have the requisite knowledge that a lot of the marginalized communities that he's perhaps speaking on behalf of and is the only voice for in this. He just doesn't have the requisite background, understanding, history. I thought it was actually done really well for laughs.
I think that you summarized everything Harjo wanted to present to us.
I think he did it really well. Like it was dramatic, but it was really funny too. When the Killer Mike's character has been talking, he's like kind of talking about the corruption and everything, and then Lee just starts parroting exactly what he said because he can't come up with his own thing.
Exactly.
And I think that was brilliant. I thought that this show was very, very, very good, especially because I think I kind of do like things where it's like, you know what? If you just want to watch something under the umbrella of crime, go ahead, buddy.
Yeah. So there's going to be people who watch this show who think, oh, it's a halfway decent tangled crime drama. Okay, fine.
And it is.
And then there'll be a kind of quirky crime drama. And then there'll be I think a really good way to watch it is to think about what Harjo had in mind, which is, it is a quirky, tangled crime drama, but some of the quirky tangledness comes from the white savior people. Just step off every now and again and let us take care of this.
In the very good scene where Donald is celebrating the Oklahoma Sooners, who these are the land rush people who literally raced in,
the little kids
and plant, but historically, like they literally raced in and staked claim to ground, and he keeps saying, "This is an empty land. This is an empty land. This is an empty land." When in fact it was, this is where the Trail of Tears ended in Oklahoma. It was the tribal nations were actually there, and I think there was kind of something there. I don't really quite know how to connect this, but like for the white folks, it's like those other people weren't necessarily there.
Yeah.
Because the white people were the important story. Whereas like, in the narrative of the Sooners, like the Native Americans were not anywhere. They don't even matter because the narrative is, hey, we came in, we staked a claim, we built this thing.
Yeah, I don't want to try to defend any Sooners of that era, but it might have just boiled down to something stupid like, well, you don't have papers saying you own it signed by an official, so I just take it. Either still stupid. I think one thing that can help us point to what Harjo has in mind is Lee Rayburn only wants the truth so he can feel like he's doing something righteous. He kind of want to pat himself on the back some.
Yeah.
I think that can be fun and comical. And I'm not saying that Harjo is saying, don't ever do that. That's evil. Look at this guy. Because he's obviously the protagonist. And he's interesting and funny. And it's Ethan Hawke.
And he's not bad.
No, he's not bad.
I did like that it was kind of what we've talked about. Like there are different maybe attitudes towards the truth, right? Like some people say, well, the truth will set you free. Some people say deeds done in darkness will always be brought to life.
Yeah.
And then, there's folks that are like, this truth, it's true, but like the cost is too great to bring it out in the open. And I think that like these are still like relevant conversations that we're having as a nation, where it's like, is the truth, some people will say, the truth is the truth, and it needs to come out no matter how hard and how painful it is. And some people will say, well, that was a long time ago. Is it making anything better? I mean, like, and I think that it's pretty clear where Sterling Harjo falls on this, but I think that this is an interesting commentary into this ongoing, for
it was so
polite
smart.
word is debate, I guess.
Yeah, discourse or whatever.
Discourse, that's a good word.
It was so smartly done by Harjo. It took me up until the penultimate episode to figure out, oh, this is what he's doing.
Yeah.
And it's you could read a lot into what Harjo's take is on various levels of white assholery is. You got your Ray, you got your Donald, you got your Alan, you got your Frank. It's like a hierarchy of white asshole.
You got Pastor whatever, Pastor Scary.
Pastor Mark.
Pastor Mark, that's what his name was.
And by the way, Pastor Mark, and I forget who plays him, whenever he shows up in a television show, the actor, not Pastor Mark, the actor, when he shows up in a television show, my ears perk up. And I really wish that they would have introduced his character about 2 or 3 episodes earlier.
He was doing this is just a complete something that I enjoyed, but like a little something that and I can't remember that guy's name either.
He's on Boardwalk Empire.
Yeah,
famously, he's also in many shows.
Like there's a bit where he's kind of doing his preaching, talking, and he just slips in a "Thank you, God" in there, and it's so good.
This actor's from Oklahoma, and we're going to name him because he deserves it. He's from Oklahoma originally.
Paul Sparks.
Paul
Sparks as Mark Sternwick. So Paul Sparks.
Pastor Mark.
He plays.
He's in Boardwalk Empire. If anybody's watched that, you know him for sure because he's got this stupid little laugh that he incorporates, and it's so funny that he does it. I felt this show started great, maybe had a filler episode or 2, and the last 3 or 4 were great. I thought maybe it was lacking a central focus, but I think that's on me. I think I figured it out, and I'm glad that you came with the same ideas, so I know that I'm not too off base. Of note, by the way, is the show credits Walter Mosley, the crime writer.
Yeah.
As part of the...
I saw that.
The writing or production cast. So, yeah.
It shows.
They're doing very specific crime writing. You can follow along for that, but if you dig a little deeper, Harjo might be saying something.
I think it really puts a lot of it on the nose with its clear affection for the works of Jim Thompson, so much so that Dale, quotes him, the only thing, something like, things are not as, the only plot is things are not as they seem.
Isn't that
and
great?
I think that Jim Thompson books are a lot like this, where like, you know what, if you just want to read it as it's a narrative of a crime or whatever, fine. But if you start scratching away at it, you'd be surprised what pops out.
Yeah, that's kind of how this is.
That's the way that was clearly, I love the homage to Jim Thompson, clearly lovingly incorporated into this. And I think
nicely done.
I think they knocked it out of the park, honestly. I love this show.
Show felt like a little like Charles Portis come to life, too.
It did. I felt, in the sense that, probably, it's so hard to say a favorite. I love True Grit, but possibly my True Grit might be his best. Actually, Masters of Atlanta is probably his best. But The Dog of the South is probably the one I find the funniest.
Well, give me Norwood.
And there's so, even in Norwood, too, like there's so many things that are going on where you're like, I don't know how this connects to anything. In the end, it kind of doesn't. Mm-hmm. But it was so fun that you don't really care.
Well, let's end here. We can't make promises because we never know how things may go, but Death by Lightning sounds interesting.
Sounds very interesting.
And Frankenstein on Netflix sounds interesting.
We'll definitely be jumping into Pluribus as well.
Oh, yeah, Pluribus. We got to talk about it because it is...
I got to catch up
As soon as
there.
you watch it, you'll call me, probably. Like, we have to talk about this now. Hit record. Yeah. Maybe those 3 things. Maybe no promises can be made. Pluribus probably will be on the docket, though. And in a couple of weeks, we think Adam's coming back, so be good.
He served his time.
He is. We're going to bring him out of the hole. You can hear him knocking sometimes. Hey, thanks everyone for listening. If you like the show, if you made it this far, God bless you. My goodness, who listens to the end? Visit, just go to, I don't know, Apple Podcasts, what Spotify podcast, and leave us a 5-star review and say, these guys know their shit. Fuckwads. And for Adam and Donovan, I hope you never get trapped in a grocery store.
Oh, that's my wish too.
Mine too. Goodbye.